What if the real reason older men are walking away from relationships is not what many women believe? Right now, something remarkable is unfolding. Men over 60 are choosing to be alone, not because they have no other option, but because they prefer it. And the motivations behind this shift might not be what you expect. If you're a man in your golden years, this may strike a chord. It might even surface feelings you've kept hidden for decades. The change didn't start with heartbreak. It started with the collapse of a belief system. For much of their lives, many men operated under a straightforward formula: work hard, provide for others, love sincerely, and you'll be respected and valued. But somewhere between their 30s and 60s, that formula began to feel flawed. They noticed a quiet pattern no one really discusses: the more they contributed, the more it was taken for granted. The more they sacrificed, the more it was expected. The more present they were, the less visible they became. Eventually, one day they stopped. Not in a dramatic way. There were no grand declarations. They simply disengaged. What many women may not realize is that this withdrawal is not rooted in coldness. It's rooted in realization. These men discovered that giving endlessly came at a personal cost that was too high. Consider what their lives have looked like. For 40, 50, or sometimes 60 years, they have been the dependable one, the breadwinner, the problem fixer, and the emotional anchor. They have built careers from scratch, supported families, and endured challenges that demanded resilience. Yet when they look back, many see one unsettling truth: while they were supporting everyone else, no one was truly supporting them. By the time they reached their 60s, they felt drained, not just physically, but emotionally. Drained from being needed but not truly understood. Praised for their usefulness rather than appreciated for their humanity. Valued when they delivered, overlooked when they didn't. So they made a quiet decision, to stop performing roles that felt obligatory. And when they did, they encountered something unexpected: peace. Younger men may pursue excitements. Middle-aged men often seek security. But older men, after decades of emotional strain and relational expectations, have come to value something else completely: tranquility. In choosing solitude, they have discovered clarity. No pointless arguments. No lingering resentment. No subtle emotional pressure masked as concern. Just a calm, steady sense of peace. For the first time in many years, they wake up without anxiety. They fall asleep without pressure weighing on them. Their days are filled with what genuinely fulfills them, not what wins approval from others. After experiencing that kind of freedom, returning to the old way of living feels like willingly stepping back into confinement. Today's dating dynamic feels unbalanced to many older men. They see expectations that haven't changed: pursue, organize, pay, provide, protect, perform, while often feeling that little is required in return beyond presence. This isn't framed as resentment but as a conclusion drawn from experience. With decades behind him, an older man can recognize when effort is shared and when it isn't. He has lived through relationships where he gave far more than he received. He has known what it feels like for his needs to come second. Now, later in life, he asks himself a direct question: why repeat that pattern? More and more, his answer is simple: he won't. They're no longer afraid of solitude. Society paints being alone as a tragedy, especially in later years. Yet many older men are discovering that this narrative doesn't hold up. They travel, rediscover passions, reconnect with friends, read, build, learn, and design their days on their own terms. They've realized that solitude and loneliness are not the same. In fact, some of their deepest loneliness occurred within relationships. Loneliness can be sitting across from someone who doesn't truly understand you, sharing space with someone who takes you for granted. Freedom, by contrast, is living honestly, choosing your own direction, and answering to yourself. Another major shift is boundaries. Over time, many tolerated disrespect labeled as communication, guilt framed as care, and manipulation disguised as love. Age changes perspective. Tolerance for what once seemed acceptable fades. Peace becomes non-negotiable. An older man is less likely to argue endlessly or plead his case. Instead, he may simply step away, and stay away. This can surprise women accustomed to men who chase, who try again, and who return after conflict. Many older men no longer believe in repeated chances once respect has been lost. Finances also play a role. After years of hard work, saving, and planning for retirement, protecting stability matters. They're cautious about relationships that threaten what they have built. If interest appears tied more to assets than character, if affection seems to increase alongside financial disclosures, they recognize the pattern and disengage. To them, it's not pessimism, it's experience. What many older men truly want is not the absence of women, but the absence of chaos. They're not rejecting companionship, they're rejecting drama, entitlement, emotional games, and connections that drain more than they enrich. Their desires are straightforward: a partner who contributes to peace rather than disrupts it. Someone emotionally secure, appreciative, respectful of boundaries, and comfortable in simplicity. They don't want to be remade, managed, or treated as a retirement strategy. They want genuine partnership, or they're content opting out. They aren't hardened or resentful. They're aware. They understand that time is finite, peace is invaluable, and self-worth doesn't hinge on external validation. For many, the most meaningful relationship in their golden years may be the one they cultivate with themselves. When a man reaches that level of self-respect, he stops chasing approval. He doesn't beg or bargain for connection. He protects his calm and lives fully and authentically, whether or not someone walks beside him.